have your attention, please? Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all for joining us here tonight. Please, I'd like your attention, please. We have a very interesting speaker, a great Q&A tonight with David Kramer, President of the Hudson Companies. Please, can I have your attention? First, I want to thank you all for joining us this evening. I want to thank our main sponsor, RE/MAX 100, our sponsors Champion Elevator, View, and Think Mortgage. And I also want you to think about the next great RED event, which will be at the Harvard Club. That will be on March 12th. The details are on the REDinNYC website. We'd like to see you all there. Please go on. It will be the greatest gathering of real estate professionals in New York City and the greatest gathering that New York City has seen. It'll be an awards ceremony, and I'm sure you're going to want to be there. Please go on the website, March 12th at the Harvard Club on West 44th Street. It's an evening that you're not going to want to miss. It's now my pleasure, please, your attention please, my pleasure to introduce our interviewer tonight and our guest speaker. Tonight we are very happy as our main sponsor to have RE/MAX 100 and Shoka Mamedov, who runs the New York office, established the New York office in Times Square. Shoka has an extensive amount of experience in the New York residential and commercial real estate market, and she is leveraging the experience, the contacts, and the network of RE/MAX International here in New York. She is originally from Azerbaijan, educated in London, in a BA in business from London. Tonight, our guest interviewee, is David Kramer of the Hudson Companies. Many of you may know David. If you don't know him, you should introduce yourself after our Q&A session tonight. Please, your attention, please. David is president of the Hudson Companies. He is responsible for major housing development in New York City over the past 3 decades, including the most significant developments currently: home at Cornell Tech, Brooklyn Heights Library, 1 Clinton. David has his bachelor's degree from Yale. I'm sure he won't mind being at the Harvard Club next month if we can encourage him to be there. He is on many boards in this city, including the Brooklyn Bridge Park Conservancy, the Brooklyn Navy Yard Development Corporation, and the Coro Foundation. It's my pleasure to introduce Shoka, who will interview David tonight. Let me have your attention, please, right up here. Thank you very much.
Hello, everybody. How's everybody doing? First of all, I want to thank you for all of you coming, and I want to thank Salman for putting this whole event together, and I want to thank David for coming.
Thank you very much. It's good to be here.
And I want you
talk. Well, I have to say, it's my first speech from a DJ booth. So I'm going to be taking recommendations to spin. You young man just dated yourself by saying Freebird. I actually got the reference. I don't know if anybody else got the reference. Well, there you go. Well, it's a pleasure to be here. I have been at the Hudson Companies for 25 years. Hudson was founded in 1986, which goes back so long. It's the last time the New York Mets won the World Series, so it's been a while. And we are a ground-up residential housing developer in the 5 boroughs. So anything in New York City, anything that's residential, that's what we do, from affordable housing, workforce housing, middle-income housing, staff housing, dorms, housing for institutions, market rate rentals, mixed-income rentals, condos. We are a part of every part of the income band in New York City.
Ladies and gentlemen, please, if you'd rather talk, please go out on the terrace. We have a lot of people who would like to listen to David and to Shoka, but please let me have your attention up here. If you'd like to talk, please go out on the terrace. Thank you.
Yesterday when I was reading about you, it's actually noticed that you accomplished so much. It's amazing. And one thing I wanted to know, how did you start in this business, in real estate?
How did I start in this business? So I was living in Los Angeles, and I wanted to save the world, and I was working on homeless issues, and I talked my way into a job working for a nonprofit low-income housing group. It's a great name. It speaks to the gold of real estate. The name of the organization was the Skid Row Housing Trust. And I talked my way into a job as a project manager at Skid Row Housing Trust in 1990. And the interesting thing is that if you're building housing for the indigent, in SROs in downtown Los Angeles, SROs, single room occupancy, it's not that different than building One Clinton, our 38-story condo in Brooklyn Heights. You're dealing with architects, you're dealing with contractors, you're bidding out the work, you have a capital stack, and in fact our affordable housing at Hudson is actually more complicated than our market rate housing because there's more subsidies, there's more funding sources to try and blend together. And so I learned to be a housing developer in the mean streets of Skid Row in downtown Los Angeles, renovating SROs.
Wow, that's it. Now, another question is, I read about you, is 1.9 million and around this 10 projects you were, developing, and it all in Brooklyn, Bronx, and none of them is in New York City, Manhattan. Are you planning in the future to do any projects in Manhattan?
Well, so who here has been to Roosevelt Island? Let me see a show of hands, Roosevelt Island. So Roosevelt Island, actually, to correct you, is technically in Manhattan. We have built 9 or 10 buildings on Roosevelt Island. We've been very active there, building a neighborhood called Riverwalk. Actually, we worked with Alan on some communications work when we were doing one of our Riverwalk projects. We built the residential tower for Cornell Tech. And the truth is that Hudson's market rate strategy has been to look at more transitional neighborhoods, to try and find areas where there's less people bidding up land and trying to make a deal on land and trying to develop in a neighborhood where we hope that the neighborhood gets improves and that we can have a successful project. And so we were, 20 plus years ago, we were the first ones to do a development in the meatpacking district. We were the first ones to do a project in West Chelsea. We were the first ones to do a project in the East Village. This is going back 25 years. And then what happened is we thought Manhattan land prices were too expensive for the type of project we wanted to do. You have to decide in a company what your strategy is. You could be in Union Square or Chelsea and hope to sell condos for $2,800 a foot, or you could do a rental in Prospect Lefferts Gardens hoping to rent for $40 a foot. And it's the latter. That's the kind of strategy we've been comfortable with. So we really haven't focused on Manhattan for, I'd say, the last 16 years.
I agree. Gotta make it profitable for your business. Correct. So what are the opportunities that you see in the market?
What are the opportunities? Well, that's why I'm here, to hear what everybody thinks. It's a difficult time right now. Land prices are very high, and there haven't been a lot of investment sales in the last 2 years because there's a bit of an impasse between sellers and buyers. And if buyers want to do a rental, the land is priced as condos throughout most of the city. One of the nice things at Hudson is that we're pretty diversified. So we do affordable housing, middle-income housing, market rate side. So if something is slow, like we're doing less market rate deals, we may do more affordable. For example, it was just announced today that we've been designated to take over a NYCHA complex in East New York. It's going to be an 18-building site called Boulevard Homes, done through the RAD project, where private manager, developer, owner, contractors are going to take over entire complexes in NYCHA. I see somebody clapping, and hopefully we'll do a better job than NYCHA hopefully we'll have the resources to really renovate these units and treat them like our own units that are well maintained and well managed, and that it'll be less frustrating for those residents to call up Hudson as opposed to calling up NYCHA. And this is one of the futures of NYCHA, and it's a huge opportunity. And so we are just taking over a complex that's 18 buildings, 1,400 apartments, 4,000 people. So that's a big project for us. And we're going to be reinvesting $250 million into these buildings, new elevators, kitchens, baths, repointing, roofs, so that these residents have the great housing they deserve.
Wow. Cheers for that. Woo! Wow, that's great. All right, so another thing is, tomorrow is Valentine's Day. And we're all in love with real estate, right?
Well, I have a Valentine's Day story. So we have this project in Brooklyn Heights called One Clinton. 38-story condo, 134 apartments. And literally like 9 months ago, it all of a sudden occurred to me we had signed a contract for $5.4 million. And I thought, you know, we really should send the buyer a thank you note. Like, isn't that the polite thing to do? Isn't that how my mother raised me? Like,
yes.
Shouldn't I send a thank you note to say, dear so-and-so, we appreciate your trust in us. We look forward to welcoming you to One Clinton when we're finished with construction. Love and kisses, the Hudson Companies. But then we want to give them a present to go with it. And for literally months, we thought, like, what's the right present? It's, you know, if we're selling $5 million apartments, we don't want to send them a coffee mug. And that was one of the finalists. We were going to do a coffee mug. We were going to do one of those water containers. I see a woman shaking her head. Exactly. So, like, what is classy, but is not going to, like, take up all of our time and effort? What are we going to do? And we kept on coming up with different ideas. And I kept on saying, we should do a present that's in the shape of the building. Because the building is iconically shaped. Everybody calls it Brooklyn's Flatiron. It's a triangular building. So we're like, should we do a One Clinton bookend? And say, you know, and have it on people's bookshelves. I'm like, I don't know, do people even use bookshelves anymore? Do people even buy books anymore? As a bookend, that doesn't seem that fun. So finally, after literally months of conversation, this is what real estate developers spend their time, you know, procrastinating that. It's like, what's a good present to send to buyers? I came up with the idea, let's do a One Clinton chocolate building. And so we had a mold made, and we had One Clinton chocolates made that are in the shape of One Clinton. They're each about, like, I'd say about 15 inches high. Turns out it's 4 pounds of chocolate. And just the way the timing worked out, it was finally finished last week. So of course we were like, Valentine's Day. So every buyer was a contract to One Clinton this week received their Valentine's Day present from the Hudson Companies. 4 pounds of dark chocolate in the shape of One Clinton. And that was another controversial decision when my colleagues made the executive decision that we should go dark chocolate instead of milk chocolate. And when you're a busy executive and you have to delegate, some decisions you don't get involved in. And I said, I might have gone the other way, but I trust you guys, it's the healthier decision. And so we have a lot of buyers with a dark chocolate One Clinton building. And so if any of you are in the condo market and want to buy a building and want a free chocolate building to go along with it, come see me afterwards.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Derek. And thank you everybody for coming and supporting us. Thank you. From REDinNYC 100.
Thank you, Shoka. Thank you, David. Thank you all for being here. March 12th at the Harvard Club. Don't forget, go on the website, please. Thank you for all of our sponsors tonight. RE/MAX 100, Champion Elevator, Think and View.